So perhaps coming back to Alexei, how do you encourage teachers to share examples in your online environment?
Yeah, one thing which was mentioned here is that things where teaching is taught should be relevant. It should not be pure academic teaching. It should be connected with his everyday practice. So she should have some problems to solve in how to deal with these students, on how to deal with these subject matters or with these new technologies. So in this case, it's a very natural attitude of a teacher to come to another teacher or to a professor and to ask questions, to get answers, and to implement this immediately. So this is the result. The immediate result of teaching is anyway rewarding for a teacher. Another is, of course, appreciations of the community. If the community, the parents, see again on this website or in in a classroom, what's happening in the class, and they're coming to the teacher and saying, yes, we are excited of what our child brought yesterday to home, or we can see from your classroom practice, etc. So I think this is very, very much rewarding. And of course, the appreciation of the whole society coming to the scale of a city or of a country is very well appreciated by the teachers themselves.
Thank you. And Florence, you've talked very articulately about how you encourage your teachers to feel empowered, that they're making a difference to their country, to feel that actually their culture isn't second-rate and they can do things differently. So perhaps, have you got any ideas about how you might extend that outside your foundation more broadly within an environment such as the Cameroon?
Just by example, because, for instance, every year now, we have a summer camp which brings in some junior years from abroad, from the States and from other African countries. And this is a whole year project where many teachers are involved. They are involved because they have to go to talk to general managers in plant. I push them to go there. They have never used to do that. They have to go to talk to director of production to have the girls come and visit. They prepare themselves into the real world, which is outside classrooms. And when other visitors come, this is to answer your question, how we can expand it. They see the work done. They see that many people have been involved. Every person sees his impact on the whole project, which is the summer camp. And the summer camp is like a compression of the whole year teaching. And therefore, they see how they could think about having it back home. That's why many people have been telling us what you are doing in Cameroon is not only valid for Cameroon, it might be valid some other places. So this is an example of how the work that professors do together in all confidence, in interaction, accepting the criticism, which is just to empower them more, the involvement with the communities, because the themes that we usually choose are themes which are relevant with problems facing by people. For example, last year we had this cholera epidemics in Douala with death. This is a shame, only because in the curricula, a country like Cameroon, for instance, which is agricultural, does not introduce necessary agriculture as something, does not introduce how to have drinkable water, which is something very simple, does not introduce basic relevant facts which can interest the inner population as well as the outside, because those girls coming from African countries, some even are poorer than Cameroon. I mean, so to speak, poorer. So this is the way, by interlapping into the real life, you have the communities and moreover the families to follow what the children are doing. When I talk about educators, I always think about the students, because educators are not there for their grades. They are there to train the people. And since I'm involved with girls, so I talk about girls. So they can extend and expand their being to really attract other person to do the same in their country.
Great. I think one of the themes that's emerging here is the involvement of all sorts of other stakeholders in teachers' learning, not just people who are in their school, not just their peers, but other members from the community. Nathan's put the students very much at the centre of that, but we've also talked very much about parents and engaging with other people outside, so that teachers are much more aware about the environments that their students are going to be moving into. So I think perhaps as we're coming to the end of our session, perhaps I'd just like to ask the panel if they've got any more thoughts that they might like to share about teachers' professional development and how we motivate and engage people with it. So perhaps to come back to Nathan.
I would like to end my session of the debate just by reinforcing what I said at the start. We need teachers who firmly believe that they can make a difference in the students' lives. If you don't have that, then everything else that you build on will be fundamentally flawed. And it sounds so simple, but many teachers, I feel, sometimes forget that they are making a difference in their students' lives in a very positive and in many ways a profound manner. So thank you.
Can I just kind of not let you finish there and just ask you if there's anything you think that could be done in the kind of to the conditions of teachers, the environment in which they're working, which might encourage them to feel more ownership for the impact that they're making, to help them to feel more empowered?
I believe that in my own experiences, sometimes teachers don't get enough recognition for the impacts they actually have, the very positive impacts, the effects they have on people's lives. And sometimes for me, I see it in a very profound manner when I see students, and sometimes they're not the strongest students I've taught, going up to me 10 years later, and they're overjoyed to see me. And I had absolutely no idea the impact I had on the students' lives. Now that makes me feel very, very happy and makes me feel very satisfied in my career. But sometimes I feel that teachers just simply don't realise how much of an impact, a positive impact they have on people's lives. And when I have those little experiences where people do come up to me and say, I remember you taught me geography and you taught me this and the following lessons, for me, it means so much. It's very hard for me to put into words. And I believe we teachers need more of those experiences to make them engage and be supported in education.
Thank you. So perhaps I could ask Larry then, is there anything that happens in any of the work that you support or anything that your corporation could do to really kind of enhance the profile of teachers, to their recognition for them?
Well, I think that's exactly right, and I agree 100% with what Nathan said. The programs that we support, like the one I described a few minutes ago, conceptually that works well in some metropolitan areas, but if you take the same concept and go to an area where we have operations, say in outside of Jakarta, in a fairly rural area of Indonesia, there you can go into a fairly small rural village and do basically the same thing. As you mentioned in the introduction, not only is science and math education an important part of it, but women's economic opportunities are a key part of what we see as true nation building. And the opportunity that we've had in places like that to take those same themes, scale it down to a village level where not just the parents and the teacher but the whole village are working together, and the teachers are in fact greatly honored. They are the ones that are seen as great leaders and respected, and I think teachers deserve that respect. In places like that, we're doing in a fairly small scale but equivalent to what the need is, computer training for young girls so that they will have the skills necessary to add to the economy of their families where they've perhaps maybe not had opportunities in the past. So I think that's exactly right. We need to respect teachers, give them the credit they're due, and I think through the efforts that we've tried to do, we're very proud of the teachers that we've met and supported.
Thank you. So perhaps, Alexei, perhaps we could have a few words for you, and perhaps maybe you could just reflect a little bit on whether you think that it's important for teachers to have some kind of accreditation, formal recognition when they develop their skills.
Yeah. I think, yes, formal recognition, of course, is important. I would like to start with another word, not recognition, but more general thing as openness. One thing we are discussing here is that school should be much more open to the outside world in both directions. School should recognize more things around it, and it was discussed in many cases in different countries. And also, a school should be more visible. The teacher should be a person who shows not to students only, which is perfect, but to all the society what she or he is doing. And in the formal recognition, again, we are coming to the idea that if anything which is important happening in schools is there in the information space, it's a basis for formal recognition of teacher achievements, not the examination bells and grades, but real work which can be judged by other teachers, by experts in different fields, by the whole society. So this openness and transparency of school, I think, is a very valuable thing we are achieving now.
Thank you. And finally, before we open it up to questions, Florence, would you like to offer us any ideas for how you might extend what you're doing in your foundation more globally, perhaps? How do we take the best ideas from what you've been doing?
From what I have gathered, like a small experience, not only in Cameroon, but globally, I think that there is no set rules for education or for reform or for empowering teachers. But there is one basic rule. A teacher is just like a priest. He has to really want to be a teacher. Because all around the world, and especially in the region of the world where I come from, teachers don't have good conditions, living conditions. But you can overcome that by giving them the pride of being human being or being people who bring change in people's life. Because the people that they are taking care of change. The family says, my daughter has changed, and she has even got her brother to change. And a teacher is proud to see that. We involve them in projects where they go in villages and change the life of people. How? Basically, the women who are in little huts where they don't have openings, and when they have to smoke their fish, smoke their meat, sleep, cook inside, they teach them to open little opening so that they are not swallowing this dioxide carbon. This is very important because it's a matter of life. Those are concrete facts. A person, a teacher who can come to this result, even if they can't seem ridiculous to you, they are very important because they impact communities, they impact all the teachers. And I always say, to conclude, that a teacher who teaches at the Rubizat Foundation should be proud to teach at Rubizat Foundation as any other teacher who teaches wherever he is.
Thank you very much, actually. And I think, as Florence said, often it's the very small things that teachers do that can have the very... But finally, just say thank you very much for a very engaging discussion. And thank you to the audience for your questions. Thank you.